We're live.
What's up? What's up?
We're live and alive.
Looks like we've got 28 people in here. We are live. Someone in chat confirm that you can see and hear us.
Of course they can see and hear us, Ari.
Okay. I'm just making sure. I'm not sure. I trust the technology still.
You know, they're here.
Why can't I see the chat? What the?
You can't see the chat?
Okay. All right. We're good. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the technically second ever Lobbing Scorchers live stream. Thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate you all. Got 33 of you to start it off. Last time we had like 100 and something at one point, right? So
big deal.
Let's go. All right. So yeah, we are going to be. We got a lot to get to, but I think this is mostly going to be schedule release stuff. We're going to be talking. We're going to be looking at the schedule, picking out our favorite games, what we think are going to be the biggest, best games of the season. Love to hear what you all think of that as well. But there's also, Atlanta hired a coach. The Revs got Leo Campana. There was the super draft today.
Our favorite.
It's the biggest day.
That's the biggest day in MLS history.
At MLSsoccer.com. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about all that stuff as well. 34 and counting. All right, let's go.
Should we hit some of these early questions before we jump into the real stuff?
Yeah, we can, but we should plug you can become a YouTube member, right?
Yep.
YouTube member. Definitely a good way to support. And then
our latest member was Tyler.
Yes, Tyler. That's what you were looking
Tyler,
for. Thank you. Appreciate it. Do we have anything else like to plug?
Yeah, become a channel member. You get some emotes, some different stuff like that. We have a little goal going on right now. If you give us some super chats, obviously we'll read them on stream and answer your questions that way. If we get 5 super chats tonight, 5 of them, we will give you what you want. And that is a little bit of anti-Rusnák Brigade content. We will co-sign the Rusnák should be a TAM agenda.
It's if we get 5 super chats, we both have to publicly advocate for Albert Rusnák as a TAM player.
Correct.
Can the Brigade get a shout out? Yeah, shout out to the Brigade. There's your shout out.
There you go. And then subscribe to Sounded Heart.
soundedheart.com/LS.
I think we've plugged it.
All right, that's a good plug. TAM snack, nice.
We got a couple other questions here.
Yes, we'll get to those. We're also hoping to get Nico Moreno in here at some point, but he hasn't texted me back. So.
Yeah, Nico, if you're in the chat,
we'll get you. We can just click the link I texted you.
Yeah,
and stop ignoring my texts.
This is San Pellegrino. I'm rocking the San Pellegrino big bottle. Ari, what do you? What's your bev? Do you have a bev?
Yeah, I'm hydrating right now.
He's watering. Okay. And then how much did these shoes set me back? These are the Sounders collab Gazelles. I think they were like $120 or something on a MLS store, which we have a link for. We need to start using that more. If you guys are interested in that, we get a little bit of commish from all the MLS store stuff. So maybe we'll start running some ads on the pod and stuff like that. But
yeah, actually one last plug. Sorry. That's what I was going to plug, which is just in general. Lobbing Scorchers, we're looking for new sponsors. We've got a couple exciting things in the works. We're looking for I think local businesses that kind of align with our audience and our values and all that, or what we're looking for. We have some exciting announcements coming relatively soon up that way. But if you want to sponsor Lobbing Scorchers, for sure, reach out to us. All right, should we get this thing trucking? We got like 55 people.
We should get this thing trucking.
That's enough.
We should get this thing trucking. Let's start out.
Okay, so what I was going to do first, our last show actually generated some pretty hot discourse in at least in our YouTube comments in general, and I thought people made some interesting points that I was thinking we could start off by reading their comments and then give our takes on their takes.
Let's do it.
So I believe we got 2 lined up here, and these are related to, we're going to do the Rusnák discourse. So Brigade, don't worry, everyone. Don't worry. I know it's been talked about ad nauseum, but that is the biggest storyline or one of the biggest storylines of the offseason right now.
Correct.
So we're going to do that. And then there was one about regarding the title of the episode regarding ambition. Liam, Thank you for the super chat.
Oh, Liam with the super chat.
Lobbing Scorchers changed my life. If you join as a member, your life will also be changed.
Liam.
Listen to Liam.
I'm so glad we changed your life.
That's one super chat towards us publicly advocating for Rusnák as a TAM player. You guys know what to do. Okay, let's pull up that first YouTube comment.
There we go. We got it popped up here.
This commenter looks like Giannio Lu. Sorry if I butchered that.
Do you want me to read it? I'm usually the question reader.
Yeah. Okay, read the comment.
Let me post this one. I think one thing that you guys tend to overlook in your evaluation of bringing Albert Rusnák back as a DP is that he overperformed his XG and XA numbers across so comps by large enough margins to cause a little concern whether or not it's actually repeatable. Add in that while he's not old, he's older and moving out of his prime rather than into it. Puts me firmly in the TAM or walk group at this point. The anti-Rusnák brigade in full force. Ari.
So I don't even think that's as much. I don't think that this person might not be brigade. Brigade is like he sucks and is bad. This is more TAM or walk. And what I wanted to talk about is the TAM or walk stance, because I do think there are two factions of the anti-Rusnák contingent. One is the brigade, which is like move off him totally because he's actively bad at soccer. The other is that he's more of a TAM player than a DP, right? So those are two different arguments. And, thinking about it, like, I think, Noah and I have been pretty consistent that we feel like he played at a DP level this year. And one of the things that we were talking about on the last show was that moving off him and trying to find a number 10 this close in proximity to Club World Cup actually is that's more dangerous as it pertains to your chances of performing well at the Club World Cup than moving off him and trying to integrate an entirely new guy who you don't even know if it's going to be a hit or not. However, I did want to acknowledge, Noah, I think TAM or walk is like, I'm not gonna say anyone's wrong, like totally wrong or off base or delusional if they're TAM or walk. And I do think that, if I was the Sounders, TAM or walk would at least be something that it'd
be ballsy.
I mean, you at least got to try it, right? I sort of laid out the case in the last episode, or like what I would do if I was Seattle approaching this negotiation.
Does this $5 go to his TAM from Kyle?
Hey, Kyle, there we go. 2 out of 5.
Does it go to his TAM? I think so. I think if you donate to us, I think we can buy his contract out. I think because you work for the league, that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
You can just buy out any contract you want.
Exactly.
That's totally legal.
Anyway,
your dissent has been noted, Kyle.
I don't necessarily agree with TAM or walk crowd. I think there's also two different things between like what you think they should do and what they will do. Like I think it's going to be hard with their leverage in this situation to get him to take TAM. I don't know why he would do that.
Can I ask a question that I actually just thought about? What's the difference of him on a DP or on a TAM? Like realistically, with the way the roster is, max TAM, that's still a large chunk of the salary cap. What's the difference?
It's like
legitimately.
I mean, it's, if you're a DP, you're taking up a larger percentage of the cap, but I think what you're saying is it's like not all that meaningful of a difference at the end of the day. He's still like going to be one of your higher paid players and like a linchpin of the roster, regardless of if he's max TAM or DP.
Right. I think my argument is like, okay, what's the difference? Like, how much more are you going to be spending on another I don't know. I don't really. Oh, look, we got Nico in the waiting room here. We'll let him get set up before we
bring back horse. That's not the one that I'm
yeah, but I don't know. It's like I'm questioning the validity of the.
Yeah, here we go. We got what does Rusnák do versus any good teams? Let him walk. I mean, that's a not uncommon sentiment. What does he do versus good teams? I mean, scored a big goal against NYCFC in Champions League. They probably don't win Champions League without him that year. LA Galaxy in Leagues Cup, they are a good team. They won MLS Cup. He destroyed them. Remember that game?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm waving. I'm acknowledging chatters here.
Anyway, that's I just named 2, but
doesn't count, bro.
All right, let's get Nico in here. Let's get Nico in here.
Nico, are you ready? Give us a thumbs up. We can see your okay. Here
Let's
we
go.
We're popping you in. Welcome,
hey,
Nico.
There he is. We got Nico Moreno, Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart extraordinaire. One of the best, I think the best in the game as far as Sounders scoopage. Been doing it for years. Nico, what's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for joining.
Hey, what's going on, Ari? My boy Noah. I appreciate you guys having me on. Absolutely love you guys' audience. I said this on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I love Loving Scorchers, man. You guys are the S. I'll say it right now. I mean, you guys are amazing. Love you guys, what you guys are doing out here. So I'm just excited to be on, man. And it's an exciting time. I mean, this offseason has started off as quickly as I can remember. I honestly go back to when I first provided my first scoop, which I'm pretty sure it was a S2 player by the name of Diego Rossi at some point.
No,
and then Pablito Rossi.
Pablo Rossi.
Nastiest free kicks in the USL.
Pablo Rossi, I think that was my very first scoop. Him and Andres Correa, 2 players that were probably not a first team, not a player that you might think of when it comes to the first team, because Correa did not play one real game for the Sounders. He had one friendly, and Pablo Rossi, who was mainly a S2 player. But from that time to today, I can't remember a moment where the offseason went off to as quick start as they did today, as they did this year. I mean, it's been pretty quickly coming. All of this news, everything coming up. Every single time they've sold a international slot. I mean, it's just been very active this year.
They're balling. I mean, whatever you want to say about Craig, I mean, he's in the market.
League-wide, there's been quite a bit of movement as well. I was noticing just right after MLS Cup, I think you're right. It started churning even quicker than it usually does. Nico, we got a few things that we want to hit with you off-season wise. We're going to ask you about Jesus Ferreira and Paul Arriola, but why don't we just start? We were doing the Rusnák discourse. We're getting it out of the way at the top of the stream, because that's what a lot of people are talking about.
It never goes away.
It never goes away. It's not going to go away until the contract is resolved. But I guess the question is, will they bring him back as a DP? And then, in your opinion, should they bring him back as a DP?
Yeah, look, I think they will. Long story short, I've been following this pretty closely. As of 2 days ago, on the phone, it seemed like it was almost finalized. There is clearly some minor details in terms of salary that need to be resolved. As I mentioned in every single show that I did prior to the offseason, anytime that a player has the best season in their career, they are clearly going to ask for a raise. They're not going to go for the same amount. They're not going to stay with the same contract they had. It's absolutely fair and extremely valid for a player to say, hey, I feel like I deserve a raise. So I put that number at $3 million. I've put that number out just about everywhere that I've been on. I feel like that's what his agent would have asked for. Now, I don't have any insight if that is the reality, but I feel like from 2.1, 2.3 to $3 million is an educated guess of what usually players ask for when they're in that range. And therefore, I understand why it's been so slowly developed, right? Because you have a player that knows that he has leverage, knows he's coming from the best season of his career, and you have a team that understands that is very afraid of having to go into the open market and getting a transfer fee for 30 plus contributions this year in terms of goals and assists in the open market. That's going to cost you a pretty penny, not just in terms of salary, but in a very big transfer fee. So because of that, player knows that he's got a little bit of leverage. So with all that said, just 2 days ago, I was told that they were close, that they were very optimistic that he would get done. And I feel like that's what's going to happen. I feel like Albert will come in with a bit of a race, and he'll be with the Sounders next year.
Question from
and now, do I think that he should get that? I wouldn't give him 3, but a raise is well deserved. I feel like as someone who's always been a bit apprehensive on whether or not he was the player that could take the torch that Nico lit up and held for quite a long time, and a torch that he held through 2 MLS Cups titles and 1 CCL. I have my doubts, but last season I felt like he earned a little bit of a race, and I think he's a good player, and I think he might not be Nico, but he is a player that amplifies everything that Seattle does in terms of what they want to do on the field.
We got a question from chat for you, Nico. Do you know if it will be a long-term DP deal or a shorter deal, like a 2-year deal? From Johnny.
It'll be a long-term deal. At the minimum 2 years, with an option for a third. I do know that the Sounders were hoping to give him a longer contract for a lesser amount of money, because again, that raise is coming one way or another. So you could either do it in a short range in 2 years, or you could expand it over 4 years and tell a player, hey, maybe I'm not giving you a lot more in the next 2 years, but you're getting player security, you're getting tenure, you're getting a longer contract. So there is a desire from the club to hold them for a long expanded time. But no matter what, whether it is a bigger contract or a smaller contract, in terms of year per year, he's at the minimum getting 2 years with an option.
Got it. I guess what should we talk about now, Noah? I guess I don't know.
I guess I can tap into the Rusnák
go ahead
here a little bit. I think I can see, I've been arguing at least that while some people may not like this, that fear of going out into the open market is real.
Yeah.
Like that is a tough thing to kind of balance your Champions League ambitions, your MLS Cup ambitions with, hey, let's figure out how we can bring in and integrate someone who's going to have to play the most games that we've ever had to play in an entire season ever, integrate with this team. And starting in February, you have to play Champions League games, which, to be honest with you, like, I think that is their ambition more than the Club World Cup. And so if that is your ambition, it makes way more sense to bring him back on a deal that, yeah, you're going to have to pay him. So it makes more sense to pay him out over a longer period of time where maybe he lights it up again this season and you have a way to like transfer him or whatever it may be. It's like that gives you more flexibility. But I don't know, how do you see it with that in mind?
I mean, look, continuity is an important thing. And for a player, and I think I've heard you guys say this before, if you remove the fact that Albert has spent 6, 7, 8 years of his career in MLS, and you put him in Ecuador, you put him in Argentina, you put him in Liga MX, and you have a player coming in with 30 goal contributions going into MLS, people are spending a pretty penny. I would say a salary of about $2 million with a transfer fee of at least $6 to $7 million, what you paid for Pedro. So when you look at that and you put him in a vacuum and you isolate that move, that productivity, I'd say is the most intelligent thing to do, the most conservative thing to do is to keep him. And for you to be able to get a guy that knows the locker room, knows the system, has proven that he can do it in your team. And you can go out there and get what you don't have, which is added goals. And that's what Ferreira's supposed to do, right? I mean, this is a guy that regardless of, he's the youngest player to get 50 goals. He's had 18 goal seasons. You're hoping that he could be versatile and play along Jordan Morris, for Jordan Morris, out wide. in a 2-forward system. I mean, he could do a lot of things for you. So by having Albert, you can do that. Rather than, let's say, things fall apart with Albert, you're going to have to bring in a player to adapt, to figure out if he works, to pay a player of that caliber in the same sense that you just pay Pedro de la Vega, where you don't know if it's going to fit. And look, people like to question and criticize Pedro. He is not the only South American player to come in his first year and struggle. Does anybody remember what Lucho Acosta did when he first came to DC? It wasn't what he's doing in Cincinnati right now. Does anybody remember what Brenner did in his first year? He was called the bust. And all of a sudden, he worked for Cincinnati. He took them where he took them, and now he's in Europe. So it takes some time for players to really get accustomed. And that's why Garth Lagerwey, ever since he was here, he would tell me, Nico, I have a very strict range of age when it comes to a DP. I'm going to bring a player that's from 24 to 29 years old, that is proven, that has been there, done that has adapted, that has grown, that has done his dumb things. And that's what you do that. So with all that said, when you talk about bringing in a DP and holding Albert Rusnák, you already know what he does. He might not be a player, and I've asked him this myself. I said, hey, Albert, is this your team? Do you feel like this is your squad? He said, no, this is not my team. It's not. We're all a group. We all contribute, and anybody on this team will tell you that this is everybody's team, and that's okay. He doesn't have to be Nico, especially for what he does. But you are playing a very conservative, very low gamble type of player, and sometimes when you have an stringent schedule and you have as many international tournaments as you do in 2025, that's the best move sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll someone had a question here. I think I lost it. Ari, did you see that one? I had it up for a second.
What was it about?
I don't know. You cook. I'll find it.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
All right. So what I wanted to do.
Here we go. I found it here.
Oh, okay.
What's the realistic backup plan look like at the 10? Because we kind of hit on this on the podcast. I was like, even if you don't sign him and like nothing happened, like even if you weren't able to bring in a 10, like who do you even play? Like even if he gets injured, like who's a realistic quality backup for him? I don't know.
Well, you can play De La Vega there. He's wearing the number 10.
Absolutely.
So like
that is
in
the
a
only
situation
option
where Albert is rotating out or otherwise not going, I would slide De La Vega there as my first choice. And I think Nico, like everyone is hoping, at least definitely within that organization, that De La Vega like takes a huge step next year. I mean, we've talked about that, and I mean, I don't know how likely an outcome that is. I think right now everyone's kind of in the mindset that is like totally out of the question. But I think you're right. There is a ton of precedent throughout the history of the league of some players taking time to adapt. Someone in chat said Ladero is the exception, not the rule. That's exactly right. So like that's why when people are already writing off De La Vega as a bust, I think like we've said that about players before, like Nico mentioned, Lucho Acosta, Brenner, and they've turned out like once they got their feet under them and they got more adapted, they started playing well. What I wanted to do though, guys, is just for the sake of argument, I'm going to lay down the Tammer Walk argument that the Sounders could make in this scenario. And then you guys can tell me if there's any credence to this. But like, I think the Tammer Walk people are kind of looking at it and they're thinking maybe the team has a little more leverage than we've been talking about, in the sense that, I mean, in this negotiation, they could say, Albert, we know that you had a great year this year, 26 goal contributions in league play, pushing 30 across all comps, played every minute of the season, super durable team guy, all that. We do want to reward you for that. From our perspective, this team scored 51 goals this year. 51 goals. There was a long period of the season, early in the season, where the offense was mid at best and actively bad sometimes. 3 of your goals came with a guy named Sean Zawatsky in net.
Legend.
As much as you showed last year, I don't know if we I don't know if we're totally sure that you're an elite carry the load attacker in MLS. We don't really know if you showed that last year. Tamer Walk. They could say that. They could say
No,
that.
no,
Is there
and it's
any,
a fair argument.
is there any
It's a fair argument. And look, again, look, I'm not a stats guy, but I do know that the stats people have looked at the underlying numbers and they have figured out the fact that if you minimize the amount of set piece contributions that Albert had, and you look at the underlying numbers, and the big moments within this Sounder season where Albert Rusnák was not productive, he was not as influential, you could definitely make the case of why are we giving this guy a DP, and that's all right. I mean, I understand that argument. The question is, though, is how much are you willing to pay for a gamble on getting something that's better than what you already gotten? So, yes, Albert, for a guy like me that doesn't look at stats and looks more of how many times you touch the ball in the final third, how influential you are, how many dribbles maybe you get and you beat players on the dribble. And again, going back to the Nico argument, do you feel like this is another Nico? I don't feel like that's another Nico, but this is not the Sounder of old. This is not the Sounders that was relying on those players. I feel like, and I hate to use this term, this Sounders team has a little bit of Moneyball in them. And I know that's not what people want to hear, because if
that's
there's
not
one huge...
necessarily a bad thing.
Huh?
It's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's not.
I think it rubs people the wrong way. But okay, like that's, if I could jump in there. Like,
yeah.
I think a lot of the consternation that's going on so far this offseason is because people feel like the team has been moneyballing too much over the past couple years, and that moves like Jesus Ferreira and Paul Arriola, that's moneyballing. That's not splashy, flashy, or a sexy signing. That is like, that's you're sort of, it's distressed assets. You're kind of trying to, it strikes people as cutting corners, which I get. I get that. But the thing I will say is that the best teams in this league are good at that. LAFC, what they do is they splash and then they moneyball around that. And that's how they create these elite rosters. So I think that's sort of where I get to the conclusion that Jesus Ferreira and Paul Arriola as like moneyball value moves are great. Yeah. Like really, really good. Like that's the type of move. Like honestly, like guys, if LAFC was looking at getting Jesus Ferreira on TAM, everyone in chat would be like, oh, LAFC is like swinging a deal like that. See, that's why they're cream of the crop and Seattle's not going anywhere. Like it would be hailed as this brilliant move, but if Seattle's doing it, they're moneyballing too much. Now LAFC, they have a lot more splashy spending to kind of fall back on, like I said, to like supplement their money balling. But like they're all, like I said, the good teams do that stuff, but also they got hailed and got all this praise for having this ambition for signing Olivier Giroud. What did he do? They
signed Giroud without a plan to integrate it. They signed him onto a team that he had no business fitting in on, but they were like, oh, we have the money to sign him, so why not?
Yeah, but okay, Moneyball signings like Bogus, I mean, I think of more like Kai Kamara, Ilie Sanchez, Ryan Hollingshead. Guys like that are like not flashy MLS lifers, but they are very integral parts of that team. So
I thought Spencer put it well too. Adrian isn't Arthur Blank. It is what it is. We should compare ourselves to Columbus more than LA, LAFC, or Miami.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes, and allow me to elaborate on that, because I constantly hear Sounders scouting is not what it used to be, and this GM doesn't know what he's doing. Look, ultimately, scouting does what the owner says do. If I say, hey, Noah, Ari, can you find me 2 cars for $30,000? You're going to give me a whole bunch of Hondas and older cars because you need to give me 2 cars for about $15,000. That's what scouting does. But people don't realize that the scouting hasn't changed. Sean Henderson's still the head of scouting as it was when Nico was here, when Raul was here or was brought in here, when Yemer was brought in here. I mean, the scouting hasn't changed. What's changed is the amount of money or the scope where you go and look at certain players. So don't blame the scouting for it, because that's not the case. And in regards to the GM, yes, he's had some boo-boos. I'm not gonna lie. The Eber's move was a fail.
His track record is tough.
Yeah,
less than quality.
Yeah, no, that was a bust. And Pedro LaVega, he had a bust year. He's not a bust yet, but he had a bust year. So there's room to criticize there. But again, he's not getting the amount of money that other GMs get to go and bring whoever they want. So let's realize that at the end of the day, yes, it's about Adrian. It's about the amount of the budget that's available for the team to bring players in.
So I think that's actually a good segue to the other YouTube comment that I pulled before the show. Yeah, if you could pull that up, Noah. This is the other thing I wanted to talk about. The title of our last show was related to ambition. We got called out for not talking about that concept enough. So we're going to do it right now. Techno Gadsby, thanks for the comment. He said, the most frustrating part of the podcast is that you guys didn't even answer your own leading headline question.
Listen, that's what clickbait's for. You have to watch the whole video and the podcast.
That's what clickbait is for. Also, I thought like our topics of discussion were thematically relevant enough to that it made sense, but fair enough, fair call out. The answer of the Seattle Sounders, are they ambitious enough? The answer has increasingly become no, and I get confirmation of that when Jesus Ferreira as a DP is a somewhat enjoyable idea on the heels of losing Raul Ruidiaz and Nico Ladero in successive seasons. Please, for the love of all things Brad Evans, do not become the Sounders Toxic Positivity Podcast. I beg thee. I mean, I don't really know if I would describe what we were talking about as toxic positivity. I would say that like I personally at least try and push back on blind negativity, because I think there's a lot of that goes on. So maybe that's toxic positivity. I don't know, but let's go
back to when we were losing. We were critical.
The first half of this season.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this idea of ambition and what that really means. That's kind of what I want to get into here, because it's a word that's being thrown around a lot lately, and I feel like there's not like a clear-cut definition. It's subjective. Everyone has their own ideas of what an ambitious club should be doing. So I'll start, and I'll just say like what I think of just the concept of what an ambitious club should be doing. I think an ambitious club in MLS, that's what we're talking about, right? An ambitious club in MLS, the way I look at it is I want you to be, this is any club, not just Seattle. I want you to be in the mix for what I consider are the two most important trophies, relevant and in the mix for the Shield and the Cup. And then also, when you have the opportunity in international tournaments, play well, make your name, put on a good showing for your city and for the club and for the league, but also try and win those. Like, have the ambition to enter CONCACAF Champions League and not just show well, but win it, and try and get in competitions like the Club World Cup. And then when you get the opportunity to play in those, show out, do well too. That to me is ambition. It's about the results that you put up on the field and the trophies that you put in the trophy case. It's not about spending a bunch of money on Olivier Giroud for him to score 2 goals for you because it's like a big name. LAFC, I'm not saying that was a bad swing for them. He's a legendary player.
But they lost to the unambitious Sounders.
And then you lose to the unambitious Sounders in the playoffs. So I think the definition of what ambition really means, I think to a lot of people, it's just like, we're going to spend a lot of money on big flashy players like Atlanta United does and like LAFC does. That's not ambition to me. Ambition to me is winning games, competing for trophies, and putting trophies in the trophy case at the end of the day. And when I look at Seattle's track record, I think the last 2 years, I for sure think they have started to toe a line where their prior heights of their ambition and where they saw themselves in the league, there was an undeniable feeling that they were falling behind some of these quote unquote more ambitious teams. But I think you have to credit the flip side of it, which is they have shown excellent ambition in terms of going deep in the playoffs every single year, making the playoffs every single year. And then, like I said, the most important thing, the trophy case, man, 2 MLS Cups and Champions League. And also, winning the West this last year, almost getting pretty close, swinging distance of winning the West. Like, is this like this pathological lack of ambition that a lot of people are describing, I think it's a little overblown. That's my take on it. Nico, why don't you go? I kind of cooked there.
No, and I'm glad you did, because as the bad boy of the press conferences here, and Brian, arch nemesis,
we love you
these
for that.
days.
Someone has to.
Someone has to, and you do it.
I will say that I'll be devil's advocate, and not just for it, but I do believe that there is a fair criticism in terms of ambition, because I asked Craig Weibel before the season started that it wasn't optimal, it wasn't ideal to have a DP striker like Raul Ruiz either in your bench or fighting for a starting job, because this is a salary cap based league, and therefore that's not the best use of your resources.
Terrible.
So
honestly.
if you were an ambitious club, you either move him before the season started, where he was already relegated to the bench, and you bring in another DP, someone that maybe doesn't get you to the Western Conference final, but gets you to the MLS final, or gets you to a MLS Cup. Because I think all of us that are watching this show, and the three of us here, can very easily say, if the Sounders beat the LA Galaxy, they likely have a third MLS Cup. Because the Red Bulls, with the issues that they had, the injuries that came about from Reyes to Carvalho and everybody else, they were going to win a cup. So yes, I understand why people argue the fact that this team wasn't ambitious enough to take that next step, to not be complacent with getting to an MLS Cup, to be complacent enough to saying, hey, we are going to play with a U22 initiative player on the bench that was relegated. And I asked this to Brian, not to the bench, but to the stands. A DP player that was giving you nothing but just sitting there on the bench and coming in and giving you a couple of minutes at the end of the season, and a Joe Paulo that also lost his starting job. So that's three big pieces of your salary cap that did nothing for you. So in my mind,
Leo Chu and De La Vega, did you? Did you even mention Leo Chu and De La Vega?
So Leo Chu is the player that got sent to the stands. I didn't even mention Pedro De La Vega, but we could add De La Vega. That is four players that in your salary cap are taking a whole big piece of the pie that you did not use. So as much as we want to be positive and say, hey, you know what? This team got to an MLS conference final.
How much of that was Schmetz coaching his ass off versus where the roster is at? And then
I say, hey,
point. It is,
if you have those four players, you probably make it to an MLS final. You probably get a cup. So the ambition thing, I understand, and especially going into next season, where people are going to lose their mind when they realize that that third DP spot is probably not going to be used on another new player, and it's likely going to be used as a economic mechanism and not necessarily bringing a new player. People are going to lose their mind. So with all that said, I understand why people criticize the ambition component, because if you add some money to the whole identity, quality, the development system, you probably have another MLS Cup champion here in Seattle.
I'll split the middle. I'll be the producer that I am here. I agree with everything you're saying. I do think that like what you said about the money balling, I think me and Ari are on the side of like there needs to be some of that. That's just the way that, like, we don't have a bajillionaire owning this club, and this is not just his play toy thing. And this is genuinely always been a project of sustainability. Like, I know people don't give a shit about the business side of things, but like, it was awesome that they were able to move out to Long Acres and build this amazing practice facility. Anyone who has ever been to Starfire, they were literally like just in a restroom stalls was like their training facility. Like, I'm genuinely. And now they have this beautiful training facility. They've bought the rain. They're growing that stuff. Is that kind of ambition worth what we're getting on the field? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that it genuinely has taken a hit because of the ambition outside of that. Long term, will it help? Yes, absolutely. But it's tough. It is tough. And like I mean, I was yelling from the rooftops that we needed to move on from Rui Diaz like way earlier in the season. Ari was disagreeing with me. There was plenty of people disagreeing with me online, but I was like, it's time. It's time. The same thing happened with Nico. It was time. We held on for way too long. There was that nostalgia. So I'm going to say, like, yeah, I don't think they're ambitious enough, but I also do think they are ambitious when it does matter. Like for whatever anyone wants to say about signing De La Vega, that was an ambitious move. That's taking a risk. I don't know. And so I'm right down the middle on it. I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. But maybe I just want to be happy. Maybe I want the whole situation to be better.
No, you bring up a great point. But look, a concept of ambition is not allowing things to go into luck or fortune. And look, I hate to say this, and people love to praise Brian Smetzer on getting Georgie and Paul Rothrock, but the reality is that both players were brought in because you were not ambitious to bring anyone else in, and you decided to bring these two players up. Sure, they were developed, but you didn't know where they were going to get. Brian himself said it a bunch of times. I had no idea Paul was going to be this good. Same thing goes with Georgie. So what was Brian sitting there developing these guys himself? Not. That's not what happened. They were developed from the academy into Defiance, and from Defiance or at Defiance, depending on each player, into the first team. But honestly, they got lucky. They got lucky that they struck gold on two players,
especially with Rothrock.
And that's the reality. Like, I don't want to be a hater. I really don't. But that's the reality of it.
Yeah. No, I mean, those are really good points.
He's changing my mind, folks.
It is mind-boggling to think of the roster spots where Seattle got literally nothing this year and how much money was in some of those spots. I mean, you went through the list, but Rui Diaz.
The Rui Diaz one is criminal. That's criminal.
Leo Chu, De La Vega. Which one am I missing?
I don't know.
Rui Diaz.
Rui Diaz, Leo Chu, João Paulo.
JP.
Yeah.
Like, you got like pretty much zeros from all those spots on the roster for all the money that was tied up in those spots.
Look at Nathan. Like, Nathan had a huge salary sitting on the bench.
I can't believe, Nathan. I can't believe they racked 57 points and made the West final with the roster in that situation. It is mind-boggling, and like, it's definitely like got to be fixed.
Yeah.
Like, but I think is there not a lens to look at that? Like, man, like if you just got even average production from like 2 or 3 of those spots, how much better could this team be? Like, you got carried to a top 4 spot in the West in a playoff win by Paul Rothrock and the Jordan Morris, Albert Rusnák duo. You know, what if you actually, and the other thing I was going to say about this though, is like the De La Vega thing kind of just totally blowing up, like really.
But you can't put all your cards in. Like, you can't.
I think that is the lesson and the mistake that was made is putting all your chips on a young DP, man. That is way riskier than they probably accounted for. When
Ari, but it wasn't. This is another misconception. I want everybody on this stream and you guys, after this is done, to go look at the press conference where they presented Pedro de la Vega, and we asked what success looked like for Pedro de la Vega, and they just said, look, we just want him to be a contributor. He's not here to change the team. He's not here to be the best player. They just want him to be a contributor. Now, he did not even reach that expectation because he wasn't healthy enough to even do that. But the concept going into the season wasn't that Pedro was going to be your amplifier or the guy that was going to change the game or your X factor. And that's what kind of blows your mind when you look into the season, where you could be a glass half full or half empty type of person, where you say, well, hey, look, they got to where they got with what they had, or hey, They literally went into the season knowing that this was what they were going to get out of a player, and they were okay with it. So I understand both sides of the argument, but you could have it either way. And I stand in the glass half empty type of situation.
I just think when that's the only big move they made, like, does that not exactly to what you were saying?
Yeah, like I don't get that.
Shine.
I don't get that.
Show, like, yeah, like
I don't get that
ambition,
because
right?
I mean I don't remember them talking about that at the press conference, but like to me, you needed that signing for the amount of money they put into it to be a game changer. Everyone knows last year that the problem with the team was that they didn't score enough goals, and whatever additions that they made needed to bolster the offense. They're in the exact same situation this year because like the move that I think most people thought was made to address that. You know, he got injured, barely played all year. When he did play, wasn't fit, wasn't that effective. So
yeah, he wasn't fit from the start.
Yeah, so like I guess thinking back to them saying that he's not supposed to be like a carry the load player. I mean, he's got to be like now he does. Now
so then who is? So then who is?
Right.
And that's why I asked the question this year at the end of the season conference. I asked it as clear as I possibly could. I said, Craig, is it an obligation, a responsibility for you to not bring a high-end prospect? Because that's what Pedro was. He was a high-end prospect where you were hoping that he was going to develop and turn out what you wanted it to be. But he wasn't a proven commodity. And I asked him, I said, Craig, is there an obligation for you this year, going into the most historic, most transcendent year in club history, to go out there and get a proven player, an experienced player, not a prospect, to get you there, to give you success next year? And that's when he said about, I did say out of MLS, because that's just where I think out broad. And the only thing he pushed on was the fact that he could get the same type of player within MLS. And that's why I think we're hearing the Ferreira and the Ariolas of the world, I guess.
Before we do
we have a lot of questions too.
Okay. Why don't you rattle off some questions real quick, and then I'll look at where we should go next.
We'll start with this one from Rowan. Is there a chance Morris becomes a DP for accounting reasons this offseason?
I think so, actually. I don't really know exactly, but if there's incentives.
I'm gonna say that it's a possibility, and that's all I'll say about it. I think that there's a possibility.
Imagine the discourse we'll be doing then.
I think that there's a possibility, and I think people are going to be very upset. And I won't say much else, but I'll say that it is a strong possibility that could happen. When I look at the roster, when I look at the fact that if that wasn't the case, they would have brought
already going off.
they would have brought Jesus Ferreira as a DP. They wouldn't be doing all this extra stuff to figure out the contract and figure out, do I get him, do I not get him? There's a reason why the Sounders are doing as much as they're doing to get in players that Dallas is paying $1 million of their salary off, and you're getting a top talent like Ferreira on the low. There's a reason for it, man. And that's all I'll say.
He was pretty happy when I did the interview with him. So, I just, take that as it is. But just scratch the ear on that one. This next one, do you think the Sounders aren't confident that they're going to find someone and bring someone better in the winter market? Or I guess in this secondary transfer, not in the summer, but in the winter. I guess, what does that mean?
Yeah, I think the summer window, even the summer window, you might be tied up, because the reality is that if you bring in Albert, you're tied in the DP position for a couple of years. You're already tied up with Pedro de la Vega for a couple of years. If in a hypothetical situation you do give Jordan Morris a DP spot, you're tied in for a couple of years. So the only place where you might be able to bring in a new player, a good player, and maybe make use of that winter window is with a U22 player, and that's about it. So I just think that because of the limitations within how the Sounders have structured this roster, I don't think there's going to be a huge signing in the winter. I mean, in the summer.
This one here, LAFC's biggest difference is that they sell players and they reinvest money back into the team in a way the Sounders aren't able to do it. I think that is an interesting thing with the Moneyball situation. Craig did say when he came in, I remember he's like, we're going to loan out and we're going to sell players and we're going to be, this whole turn and burn organization. I mean, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, not yet, but obviously Obed is only a matter of time. Craig mentioned that they're not going to let him go in the winter, but there's, in my opinion, 90% chance that he goes in the summer. I know that there's interest for Reed Baker-Whiten. I know that there's interest for Leo Chu, and you cannot get rid of him soon enough. I mean, there are players that I think will end up leaving, and maybe that gets moved around some way, and Seattle can manage it. But again, the difficult part is that if those DP positions are already tied up, that money might just sit there, and that's what's going to drive people crazy.
Like it's been driving people crazy.
Like Nico, let's talk real quick about the. I want to do schedule stuff. We'll get to the schedule. I'm excited for that. But let's do real quick discourse on the notion of Jordan Morris being the first choice number 9 on this team for next year, because I know me and you see that a little differently. You've been on the train for a long time of like, you like him more out wide than you do up top. And I was also on that train for a long time because it always felt like a more multifaceted threat when he was facilitating from out there and attacking from out wide compared to playing a more traditional number 9 role. But purely from a production standpoint, I don't think it's as like outlandish an idea as like, I think most people hear, oh, Jordan might be the first choice number 9 next year. And that's unacceptable. I mean, like we were talking about this on our last show, like he put up, I think 18-6 across all comps last year and 14-5 after he made the switch to the full-time number 9, which was not until a little bit into the season. If they went out and it's sort of a similar point to the Rusnák point. If they went out and signed a DP number 9 that put up 18-6 across all comps, came 1 goal from breaking the single season, like all comps goal record that Obafemi Martins hit, like, I don't think anyone would be saying much about like whether that guy should be the 9 again next year. So I feel like the sentiment on it doesn't necessarily, like, he had a really productive year last year. So I'm not saying that means that they shouldn't sign a number 9 if they're able to, but I don't know. I just don't. I think him at the 9 this year actually worked pretty well and got them pretty far without a lot of support. To me, the whole thing is like about the pieces around the Morris Rusnák foundation more than it is about either of those 2 players coming off the years that they had. Nico, how do you see that?
Yeah, I think it's a fair argument. And quite honestly, although, yes, I argue consistently that I thought Jordan Morris' best position was out wide, I have slowly changed my mind, and not just because of the stats and what he provided this season, but usually when players are 30 years plus, they don't move from striker to wide positions. It's the opposite. You move from wide to striker because you're able to do less explosiveness. You're able to time your runs, to kind of manage the game. So because of that concept, I think that now you're kind of stuck, for lack of a better word, so please allow me to use that, stuck with Jordan Morris playing that 9 position. What I will say is that you just saw what you would get out of a Jordan Morris 9 situation all year long. And what you got was a team that was still struggling to score, and a team that, what was their Achilles heel? Not scoring enough goals. So that's where the situation kind of happens, right? Raul Ruidiaz in his best season had 17 goals. Do I believe the next season Jordan can do that? Yeah, I think that he has the attributes, the physical ability to do so. But I don't know if he has the mentality, the physical, the mental component of the striker. I've said this 1,000 of times. Being a real 9 takes a different type of person. Very short memory, killer, high motivation, high confidence. You see it in Raul. He misses 3 shots. They might be up in the stands. He's still shooting that fourth as if it was his first. And that's not something I see Jordan have. And that's where I struggle to see him being the number 1 guy. Now, if you bring in another striker that adds on, if you bring another winger that provides better services, maybe you do get more out of Jordan Morris. But I'm not completely sold. But what I will say is that for better or for worse, the Sounders are stuck with Jordan Morris as their striker. Whether it's in a 2-man formation, as Craig and Brian alluded in the end of year conference, or whether it's with a false 9 like Ferreira behind him, or a better winger on the side. I just think that it's over and done with. The debate is over. Next season, Jordan Morris is going to be the guy at striker. There's only a question of, does he have a partner at striker, or do you do something else to amplify what he did this year?
What do you think is going to happen with that?
I think it'll be a second striker. I think the Ferreira deal gets done. You see all the GAM, you see all the sold international slots, you see everything that they've been doing. You see, I think it was $4 million in GAM that they showed in that report by MLS. So I think that they'll get it done, and there will be a 2-man system, whether it's out of a 3-5-2, or maybe you go into a diamond formation with 2 up top. Regardless of, I think they're going to utilize that. Maybe Ferreira does play out wide, and you get a situation with Pedro's out right and Ferreira's out left, and then there's a lot of mobility. One way or another, I think that Jordan's going to stay at the 9, and maybe you do switch him out. Maybe you put your 24-year-old in Ferreira at the 9 and see how Jordan performs out wide. So it's going to be a lot of versatility, but I think that's why Ferreira makes sense, is because of what he can do in that final third and the many options that he provides.
All right, let's do the schedule, guys. This is what I've been looking forward to. So
let's do it.
It's time. Noah, if you could pull up the pop it up. Okay, the schedule came out yesterday. We are going to go through. I was thinking we could just point out like what we think are going to be the best games, or the ones that we're most looking forward to, and just kind of like just sort of talk about how we see the season shaping out with how this schedule came out. And I'm going to
winning CCL, they're winning Club World Cup, they're winning MLS Cup, they're winning the Shield, they're winning Open Cup. What other tournaments are they playing in? They're winning in the Desert
Diamond Cup.
Desert Diamond Cup. They're winning it all.
All right, but so let's start. Noah, scroll down to September, please, because this was the first game I think that caught my eyes. September 16th at Inter Miami.
My birthday.
At Messi and the Barca boys, the Sounders. God willing, if Lionel Messi.
That's on your birthday, Nico?
Yeah, yeah.
2 days before my birthday.
We're gonna go down for the birthday, probably. So.
I feel like
I'm thinking about
Messi 2 days before my birthday. I gotta go. If it is your actual birthday, you definitely gotta go.
Yeah,
it is randomly on a Tuesday, so I don't know why that is, but I don't care. I'm still. I feel like I gotta see Seattle play Messi if that's happening. I think I just gotta do it. But I've never been to Miami, so I don't know if anyone has thoughts on Miami as a city. Feel free to drop them in the chat. But, so this one's not going to be
where the heat is on
later in the season, but I think that's going to be a big game. Nico, are you trying to go to that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, nothing would better serve my birthday than watching, if he's available, Lionel Messi playing against the Sounders. I do believe that Inter Miami is going to have a cruel reality check without Chris Henderson and without Pato Martino. People are missing or purposely ignoring the fact that Javier Mascherano hasn't had a real job as a coach in any club.
It's another one of the boys. That's what it is.
Yeah, he's just
another one of the boys. Absolutely. He's just, Messi's guy that was going to make Messi happy, and that's why he got that job, that gig. But he was a disaster with the U20s in Argentina, and I just don't think I don't think he has much credibility as a coach. So with that, Campana's gone. Yes, they have all the resources, all the money, all the ability to bring more players. But I feel like people are going to realize how easy it is to become the Inter Miami of old that grabbed a whole bunch of cash, poured gasoline on it, and lit it on fire before Chris came in, and then what he was able to do. So regardless of, it's going to be fun to watch Inter Miami play the Sounders. So yes, I would definitely like to be at that game.
Rusnák is ready to ghost for Miami versus Miami. Do you know how bad Inter Miami's defense is?
If he's gonna go do,
if he's gonna cook in any game, that might be the one. They can't.
Yeah, and honestly, we don't even know what it is.
They can defend freaking Dax McCarty. I don't think they're gonna defend Rusnák.
We don't even know what they're gonna look like. Christoph was declining his option or his contract. Federer is same thing. Negrini, same thing. Franco Negri, a whole bunch of players might be gone. So we don't even know what that defense might look like by the time the Sounders play them. So that's going to be interesting to see.
I don't think they care. I think they're more about like, we're just going to throw the Barca boys out there with whoever and let them just score as many goals as possible. And if we get slammed like 5 times during the game, that it is what it is. We'll go out in the playoffs versus Atlanta United. Why don't we go back up to the top of the schedule, and then I just wanted to highlight that one because that was what I was looking for when I first saw the schedule, was if that was if they were playing Miami at all this year. But okay, so CCC February 19th away at Antigua, Guatemalan side. That's coming right up, folks. That's, what is it? December. So like, yeah, 2 months, and the Sounders are playing in CCC. That's going to be, that's soon. So they got CCC starting end of February with the Charlotte home opener on February 22nd. So Charlotte FC, not exactly the biggest juggernaut I could name to start your season against. But you also can't lay an egg in that one. You got LAFC pretty early as well. You've got San Diego away, which that's kind of, they're going to be an interesting game just because no one knows what their team
they're going to be ass. Like. They're going to be so bad, dude.
There's
really no shot.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, let's talk about them for a second because they're squad building right now. They signed Chucky. They had the #1 pick in the super draft. They still have a long way to go. They are rocking with Tyler Heaps as their sporting director, son of Jay, which, I mean, he could be good. Like, I know nothing about the guy, but doesn't that feel risky to entrust it to? He's like my age. He's like 31, 32. Never done this before. And building an expansion roster from the ground up is really, really hard. And it's easy to screw up. I feel like I would have wanted that task entrusted with someone who had done it, as opposed to just a fresh out of grad school guy. I don't know. We'll see what they do. Maybe they're
definitely going to break roster rules. There's no way they do.
They're going to end up with 5 DPs like Inter Miami.
Where have we seen this?
All right. Why don't we let's just keep.
Here's the really important match: FC Dallas versus Seattle Sounders. We'll see how many Sounders players are playing for FC Dallas and how many FC Dallas players are playing for Sounders.
That could be the Jesus Ferreira revenge game if he comes to the team. I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah, because I mean, he came out of that club with a lot of hate, and it's a bad situation. What I will say about this calendar is that it's a tough start. I mean, Charlotte is a very good defensive team. RSL, regardless of all the issues they had, they're a very good team, especially at RSL. They're difficult to play. LAFC is going to be LAFC's revenge game. They're going to come in trying to knock Seattle's head off. San Luis is a team that's rebuilding. They've got a new guy on managing the squad, and they're going to want to show up. I go all the way to San Jose, where Bruce Arena. We don't know what's going to happen with this team,
and we love to lose them.
And exactly, Seattle it tends to be that rock in your shoe that you can't get rid of.
Yeah,
so it's a tough start to the season, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh man, that game at PayPal Park this last season was one of the more tilting games of the season. Everybody help Spencer decide if he's punting LAFC or Portland. I would probably punt LAFC because I feel like the Cascadia games are the best. But I don't know. Maybe other people feel differently. You got San Diego coming here end of May. So I don't know. Like whenever I'm looking at this, I never like predict game by game, but I can't help myself from going like, oh, that should be a win. That should be a win. That should be a result. And then once the season actually starts, every way I think about the game is totally thrown out the window. But like there's like certain stretches in here. Like this looks like you got a Columbus in here, but like the wrestling enthusiasts, Rapids, Quakes, this Atlanta one, that's a tasty matchup.
That's a tasty.
Yeah, that's this.
Because that's the Lagerway, Schmetzer, Henderson reunion revenge clash.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe Raul Ruiz as well.
Yeah.
Is there smoke to him going to Atlanta, Nico?
Yeah, I think that there's two teams that have been on the radar for a very long time, and one's Atlanta, one's Orlando City. Atlanta, I mean, he fits a guy that would be willing to come in and do some additional things and be a supplemental piece. He is a Gar Lagerway guy. He's a Chris Henderson guy. I think that with Ronnie Dyla, Ronnie Dyla is a guy that would be able to exploit some of that veteran leadership that Raul has. So yeah, I think he's a good fit down there.
Yeah, we were going to talk about Ronnie Dyla, but let's just finish going through these games. I feel like there's probably a couple others that
Galaxy Sounders in August.
The Galaxy rematch in August. And then really down here, I mean, it's all about that Miami game. So the Miami game is tough because you've got the Galaxy and Austin on either side of that, and that's going to be a hectic stretch, man. That's going to be a hectic stretch.
And then you also got to figure out, when does Leagues Cup come in here and when does US Open Cup come in here?
Mm-hmm. I feel like the most likely outcome is they're not going to play in one of those two this year.
That's my guess. You
can't possibly play Club World Cup, CCC, Leagues Cup, and Open Cup with your league season. Like, feels like too much. They're going to have to either Leagues or Open Cup. I don't know which one.
It is crazy.
No, that's not what I'm hearing, though. Last I asked, they're going to play every single tournament, including US Open Cup. And if that's the case, you might see a lot of the younger players. And I mean, that's as usual.
You're going to be mad about that, but that's what you should do, man. That is what you should do. Look what happened this year when they did that. Like, I really think those players got valuable reps in those games. Like,
of course,
being like a Defiance kid who hasn't played in these really high stakes, high pressure games, and being in like an elimination game, penalty kick shootout against another MLS team and tournament play with the Starfire crowd going nuts. I think you're way better served to like give your young players that experience in a tournament that you've won 4 times and you have like 6 other tournaments that you're playing in. Like, you should not throw the first choice 11 out there in those games.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, did we make okay? And then the ending was just Portland NYC. That's kind of a hot last 2 games of the year. NYC away. That's another one that I kind of want to go to. I've been to Yankee Stadium and Red Bull Arena, but New York is always a fun away trip for sure.
Maybe we hit this one question. I don't know how much time you have, Nico. We don't want to hold you hostage, but
yeah, we're gonna be hanging out for a little bit longer.
I was hoping maybe another 5 to 10 at the top, max. I can see a lot of movement here behind this door with my little one.
Well, why don't you, if you have any, what do you want to talk about to close it out here?
Let me give you guys a little bit of content in terms of Joe Paulo. I'm hearing that he has 2 offers from MLS that he's currently looking at. He seems to be very taken by how, and maybe this is just a common occurrency with the Sounders, or maybe it's every team. But he's not happy with how things ended with the Sounders. He believes that he was not given enough of a communication path, not enough respect, not enough value for everything he did for the Sounders. So I think if he ends up going to MLS, as he's hoping, because that's his priority, he wants to stay within MLS, wants to stay in the United States. I think he's going to be one of those players that's going to be looking to get a revenge game against the Sounders. And you know, as a 30-year-old midfielder, 30 plus, of course. I still think he has a little bit of value. I would have wished that there would have been a better or a bigger effort to keep him, especially when you're thinking about Obit perhaps leaving in the winter. So that's one thing. Last I heard, as I said, Arriola's personal terms were finalized. We're ready to go. Ferreira's not as close. I'm guessing with all the GAM and things that they were able to add, I feel confident that they'll get that done. And I think that's everything. Freddie Juarez had a couple of interviews this offseason, but it sounds like he's going to stay with the team. It sounds like he's going to remain as part of Brian Smetser's coaching staff. Atlanta, I believe, was one of the teams that he interviewed for. Obviously, that position has been filled. And I hear that in New York City, there's also a top candidate. So with all that said, I think that Freddie Juarez is going to stay with the Sounders. So there isn't going to be any shift in the coaching staff. And I think that's all I have. And yeah, we already talked about Raul Ruidiaz. Yeah, so I think that's all I got.
If you had to put a guess on it, like, do you think this Ferreira deal is on track to get done? Like, they're going to get him here?
Yeah. I think so. I think that Seattle is going to end up figuring it out. And I think that Jesus sees in the Club World Cup an opportunity to revalue his overall transfer fee, potentially his relevance, playing against PSG, playing against Atletico, I think provides a platform that he hasn't had in a very long time for a player that has fallen off the U.S. men's national team, that has fallen off the possibilities to go to Russia or Germany or wherever there was.
When he tried to go to Russia,
that was fire.
He tried to go to Russia, and they were like, "No."
Dude, they were like, "Here's $14 million. Don't worry about how we got it." But
so I think he sees an opportunity here with Seattle.
That was wild. It was like at the peak of the geopolitical.
I think it was like in the middle of COVID too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was crazy.
I don't know, but. Nico, where can people find you? Give us.
Yeah,
we're putting you full screen. You plug away. Wait, hold on. We got to make sure you're full screen. There we go. Wait, I'm so bad at this, Nico. I just totally. There we go.
Okay,
there you go.
There he is. There he is. Plug away.
No, look, thank you so much. I hope you guys can find me here a lot more often. Follow Logan's courses; they're amazing. Obviously, at El Rolo NW on Twitter. All of my English content, and I'm trying to do better at doing less tweeting. Scoops and getting with Jeremiah to put stuff at Sounder at Heart. So all my English stuff you'll find there. You see Soccer Bar right here. Follow at Soccer Bar on YouTube. That's all Spanish. So if you have some Spanish audience there, that's where you'll find it. Pulso Sports, of course. Next year, we're going to be doing a lot more English content. We're thinking about doing a few of Where Are They Now segments with guys like Victor Rodriguez and Nelson Nairo Valdez, Roman Torres. We're going to go through with quite a few old players that have been here, done that, and see where they are now. So we're going to try to add some stuff at Pulso Sports on YouTube, so go ahead and follow that. And Thursdays. We have a Thursday show on Twitch, and you could also find it on X, of course. And it's Soccer Down Here is Thursdays with Nico from 7:30 to 8:15. We go through transfers. We go through the juice boxes. If you like to bet on MLS, we go through the Western Conference. So go ahead and check that out at Soccer Down Here.
Woo!
Hell yeah.
Legend.
Thank you so much for all the time, Nico. We appreciate it. We'll do it. We'll do this regularly, man.
You're welcome on whenever.
Yeah, anytime. We're gonna keep doing these live shows, and I'm hoping the vibe with it is that like we can have whatever media personalities or friends that we have like call in like this. And then also at some point we did this, Noah, like when you when we were in LA.
Yeah.
But like have some of the fans and listeners call in. Not going to do that this time, but we will do that.
We got to figure out how to parse out the anti-Rusnák brigade. We got to make sure they're
brigade.
Not on
You're banned.
Yeah.
Brigade is banned from the call-ins. Just kidding, guys, you're not banned.
Someone that's done it on X Space. You just got to make it very clear that if there's any guys that want to have their moment of, I don't know,
the glory,
their moment to do their cuss or come at someone, that they're gonna be blocked and all that. I've been very lucky that nothing has happened, but I do let people know, if you decide to go wild, I'm gonna block you and you will never have that opportunity again. But no, that's awesome, guys. And again, now that Ari has my number, my right number, I'll be on whenever you guys want. Like I said, I'm a big supporter of what you guys do. And, you know, I feel like we're all a family here at the beat, you know, so y'all my boys. So anytime you guys need some, I'm here.
Hell yeah, appreciate you, man.
Don't be a crash out, Chris. Go follow Nico.
I was just gonna say, the brigade isn't banned, but crash out Chris is banned.
Yes.
So, all right.
Thank you, Nico.
All right,
Later,
Nico. Take it easy. Have a good one, guys.
Later.
All right.
All right. We're going to keep hanging out for a few more minutes if that's cool with you guys. We had a couple other things that we wanted to get to. Probably like, I don't know, 10, 15 more minutes. That sounds.
Yeah, whatever. I was going to go through. We haven't been able to hit some of these members and subs, so I thought we could take a second and kind of go through this. I was going to play some of this.
Oh, did we get our 5?
We did. So we do have to do that content.
We have to maintain our word. But yeah, go through and thank everybody. Do we have music for this?
Yeah, I was just going to play some music here, but there we go.
Okay.
You know, so it's a little vibey. Okay, here we go. We'll start here. Shout out to Tyler. Tyler was our first member. And then we had Liam, obviously, with the $9.99. Put that in a Dollar General. I don't know. That's bad. Climbing Sports has changed my life. If you join as a member, your life will also be changed. You heard Liam. If you want to get a shout out right now, become a member or drop us a super chat. We're reading them out right now. $5 from Kyle. Go towards the TAM deal. And another $2 from Ian with the Rusnák buyout. So shout out to Ian. Another $1.99 from Liam. Thanks, Sports. And right there, that's the I think that's the number we needed. But we also have new member Owen.
Yeah, thank you, Owen.
Owen. Another member, John, as well.
Oh, we're stacking. Let's go, guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
And Liz. Shout out, Liz.
Shout out, Liz.
We had this one from Crossno Darling. $4.99. Winning games is good, actually. Scorcher of the stream.
It's definitely my brother, I think.
Shout out. That's the scorcher of the stream.
That was a good take. I think I dished that take.
Yeah, that's a good one right there. Ari, how much do you want to bid on John?
Hey, Winston. Yeah, when we're about to go. Hey, why is Winston in here? Get out of here, you joker.
Yeah. So, if you guys want to become a member, it's down below. Again, you can have 2 little emotes and help support this live stream and buy us beers or whatever. So, yeah. Okay. I shilled, Ari.
Cam's dad, Lobbing Scorchers is the best. Great content. Thank you. All right.
We were going to go through the super draft signings if you still wanted to do that.
Well, let's talk. Okay, that's good shout. Let's talk about the super draft. In general, we don't need to spend a lot of time on the super draft. It wasn't that super this year. They don't broadcast it anymore. So I was like, working it for the website, and I was hitting refresh on our tracker to see what the picks were, but I didn't know when they were going to post them, so it was just like guessing. So that was fun. But I thought my biggest takeaway from the super draft, Noah, was that the Colorado Rapids got pretty unhinged with it.
Yeah,
the Colorado Rapids at the super draft today were like, they're like when you're at a party, but it's like it's like kind of quiet and dead, and people are just hanging out, talking. There's no dancing or anything. And then there's a guy that's like way too drunk and like busting out dance moves when it's not. Look at what the Colorado Rapids did today. That is 9 super draft selections. They traded for every single Philadelphia Union super draft pick for the next 3 years. This is their initial haul. on one level, I can see the logic of like they're spamming is what they're doing.
Spamming.
They're like, we're just going to get as many as possible. And I bet one of these guys is going to hit. They're increasing their odds of getting a hit. But it's like, is it really worth that much effort and resources to maybe get one of these guys out of 9 to hit? Like, I don't know. They were just going so hard. They made 5 first-round picks. 5 first-round picks.
It's an eye woolly.
So that was my number one super draft takeaway. The Rapids they're up to something with that. You don't see 9 super draft picks. A couple teams made none. The Red Bulls and the Philly Union made none. Let's talk about who the Sounders picked, though. New Sounders is always fun. So can you pull up like Seattle's guy? Okay, yeah.
Here we go. I had to do some scrolling.
Yeah, we got.
How do we get the wrestlers out of here? There we go.
Round 1, we've got Ryan Bayer from West Virginia. Don't know who he is.
Oh, Ari, you don't know about Ryan Bayer?
This is going to be good analysis.
Don't you worry, because we got the highlights, baby.
We
got the highlights.
The Ryan Bayer highlights.
Don't you worry.
We got tagged by the
He's
Feds
played
and the
so
Oligarchs.
well these last couple weeks for Marshall. Ball played into the 18 for the Mountaineers. Shot on goal.
Did he score that, or is he? Okay, so he's the guy.
This is the pass. Wait, hold on. Look, this is bad analysis. Passes.
Caldera, give him a lot of credit. He's played so well these last couple weeks for Marshall. Ball played into the 18 for the Mountaineers.
Okay,
shot on goal.
He looks kind of like a.
Oh, that's a nice ball.
Great ball to Caldera.
Defensive mid, team captain, strong leadership.
Great ball, great vision.
All right.
Great vision. Oh,
so this could be heat for Defiant.
Yeah, that's right. We got short sleeves on.
Draft picks, they show up to Defiant, and sometimes
give the ball, man.
Colorado made
if you're Mike
$10 million on draft pick Moise Bombito. It's true. You never know. Maybe Ryan Bayer is the next $10 million MLS transfer. All right, I think that's probably enough.
I want to see him score one.
I don't think he rolls like that. I think he's a team player.
He's just a passing.
He's the pass before the pass guy, but that's valuable.
Defending. Hold on. Defensive actions here.
This is good content.
This is content right here. Do you see that? Oh, it's a little slide tackle moment.
All right, our viewership's going down. close the Bayer highlights.
Sorry, you're such a Bayer hater. All right, who's next? We've got
okay. I think this is the one. This next guy, Trace Terry. I have no idea who that is, but they got a Seattle guy.
Yeah,
so
here's the Seattle kid.
Let's give the Seattle kid some shine. Demian Alvarez, out of Seattle U. Anyone in chat go to Seattle U and watch them? You know anything about Demian Alvarez?
I don't know why you put that one in the highlights. I gotta say that was.
I don't think you're playing Alvarez highlights on the stream right now.
Yeah, I am. Look.
I don't see it. Okay, I don't mean maybe my shit is frozen.
Oh, is it frozen?
I've seen enough stardom over Rusnák.
Hold on.
It's not frozen because I see myself right there.
It's my thing.
All right. So we have frozen Ryan Bayer highlights. We got Demian Alvarez and Trace Terry.
Trace Terry the GOAT.
Trace Terry looked like a fun character. He's from Ohio and went to Bowling Green, and I watched his highlights, and it looked like that whatever conference Bowling Green plays in looked like a lot of country boys just like going at it.
We're not getting DMCA'd. This is our boy Ryan or Alvarez. This is Alvarez.
Okay, Seattle U defender. Demian Alvarez. Oh yeah, and he played for Baylor FC. Yeah, good shout. Up the bridges.
Oh, see what that was tactical. Incredible. I've seen enough. Start him over Nuhu.
Start him over.
Look at that passing though. That's actually pretty good.
This is kind of a hot highlight tape.
It's a good sequence. Good. We need some Ari. We don't have any music in the background. Can you give us like a beatbox or something?
I'm definitely not beatboxing on the live show. Everyone says that Ryan Bayer, they've seen enough. They should start him. I've seen enough. Start him over Rusnák. Here we go. Here's a Alvarez tape. Didn't go to SU, but I've watched. Good passing. I will think he will transfer to a CDM in the future. Okay. Thanks for the Alvarez. analysis. God knows I didn't really have any.
I found some copyright-free music to play over this.
This is it's like a soothing highlight video. Do you think Seattle will transfer any of the players on the roster?
Obed Vargas
in the summer. I mean, if they don't sell them in the summer, I don't know when they would. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen.
All right. Thank you, Damian Alvarez. Welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club, to all of the super draft picks, and shout out to the Colorado Rapids. All right. Did you want to just hit our last topics and then we can call it?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna pull these over here.
Yeah, we want to hear you beatbox, Ari.
People are asking for the beatbox. I'm not gonna do that. So there was some league-wide headlines. I thought Atlanta United was the biggest story of the day. They hire Ronnie Dela as their head coach, and they traded for Mateos Klick from DCU for nothing. They got Klick for who's like a Polish international who's not like been amazing for DC, but been like a solid MLS player. They got him for their 25th overall super draft pick. So DC like that's basically free.
Yeah, that's free 99.
That's basically free. But I'll give my Ronnie Dela takes, which is that he was a good coach for NYC. He won an MLS Cup with them, and my Ronnie Dela experience is I was at the MLS Cup that was in Portland when NYC played them a couple years ago, and that was the game. NYC beat them famously. Timbers lost MLS Cup at home, and Ronnie Dela, that was the game. After the game, he was celebrating with the away fans, and he literally like stripped down to his underwear and started doing push-ups on the Providence Park field. It was incredible because
I don't even know if we're allowed to show that on YouTube.
I mean, what I remember is that it was actually pretty cold and rainy in Portland that day. I know it was dumping rain when I was going to the stadium, and then it was raining a lot during the game, and it was like cold and cloudy, and Ronnie Dela but that's like, he's kind of a character type of guy. So I'm glad to have him back in the league, and he had a lot of success with NYC. So I think from Atlanta's perspective, like, it's actually a pretty good mix of familiarity with the league, has been here before, but also decent pedigree, like had success in the league, won a title here, and then has also had decent success. I think he was coaching like Celtic or something, but pretty good hire is what I'm saying. I think overall I'm pretty nervous that this is the year that Atlanta United is going to get good again. But every year I think that, and every year they end up being mid again. So,
were you surprised by the Facundo Torres transfer?
I was surprised that they got that big a bag for him.
They cashed out.
And he's like, I don't know. I feel like that's whoever was it, Palmeiras that bought him? It seemed like a lot. It seemed like too much for him.
I don't know. There might be some money laundering going on, to be honest. That was a little bit insane to be quite frank. But where do you think Jim Curtin will land?
Well, I would have said Atlanta, but they did not go that route. That's what I thought was going to happen. But where will he land? What are the vacancies still out there right now? He might either take a year off or have to be an assistant.
Oh, we got a new co-host, Ari. We got to hit him up. Jim C.
Oh, yeah.
Jim C. Is
he might end up like, he might do what
host?
Gio Savarese did and like do the season pass thing for a while.
Gio Savarese was an awful broadcaster, and I would tell him to his face.
Atlanta United seemed like the most obvious Jim C fit. I don't think there's like maybe he could go to Vancouver.
He could go to Vancouver. I could see that happening. He's like totally opposite of Vanni Sartini.
I think that's
which is what they're looking for.
Kind of a good fit, low-key.
Yeah.
Because it's like a kind of laid back market. Like it's not like Philly.
Well, but to be fair, they're being sold. So are they even going to bring in
a coach at all?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You got to buy that. You got to buy the coach spot.
Do you guys
sorry, you clicked that one again. My bad.
Do you guys wait?
There you go.
Reagan will get any PT in the USMNT camp. He better.
I think so. People said that he.
Hey, Lori, new member. Thanks, Lori.
Thanks, Mom.
All of our moms are subscribed now.
There we go.
Thanks, moms.
I think Reagan will he'll at least make January camp 100%.
Pochettino, like, he's going in like with an open mind, fresh slate. Like, if he sees Jackson Reagan balling out, he's gonna like start giving him caps and minutes.
He's better than fucking Tim Ream.
The bots are not gonna like that.
No, he's better than Tim Ream, though.
They're not gonna like that.
He's way better than Tim Ream. I don't like Tim Ream. What are your thoughts on that?
You don't like Tim Ream? I thought Tim Ream was surprisingly good for the United States at the World Cup, but is very old.
Yeah, true.
Does Vancouver have a good youth setup? Not really. They cooked at a historic level with Alphonso Davies.
They peaked. They exploded.
Like, it's weird because they really. I mean, I feel like they have like an okay, but not that reputable youth setup. But they also produced like one of the 10 best players in the world.
Yeah. So, yeah, like genuinely one of the sickest players. He was so fun to watch. Like, let's go back. Let's run it back. Can you remember just sitting down and being stoked to watch a Whitecaps game? Because you're like, yeah, that's the guy. I'm gonna watch
and he
him.
was literally 15.
Yeah.
And he was already so good.
He was so good, man.
Yeah. I think like the Sounders youth development has been good. And like,
yeah.
So like Jordan Morris is obviously like, I think the biggest hit in terms of the value and production that they've gotten out of it. I feel like that's a little cheating, but just his dad was the medical,
right.
Like that got thrown onto their lap. That wasn't like brilliant youth development. Like they really, I mean, I'm not like Davies is like 1 in a million, but like they haven't produced like a player like that.
What about like Yedlin though? I mean, Yedlin, that was a pretty big deal.
If he had they sold him to Tottenham, that was a big deal. And he actually was good at Newcastle.
He was
for a
really
while,
good at Newcastle.
But I mean, Davies is like electric. Yedlin's like a solid player. Davies is like,
I think
one of the best in the world.
I do think though Obed will get to that level. I know people don't believe it or they don't
Davies
want to.
level, nah.
Really?
No, because he's not. Because part of what makes Davies so unique is his like physical traits and athleticism, and Obed's just not like that, like physically gifted. Like he's like has elite technical skill, but Davies is like he's just a beast.
Yedlin back in town, new signing.
Saw Yedlin downtown 2 weeks ago.
Is this real rumor here? Yedlin was mostly developed.
Well, I mean, I think we were talking to Jo about that. He was here because he's from here.
Yeah.
Family here. I don't think that means he's coming back.
Yeah.
Mostly developed outside of Sounders system. Mostly developed at Crossfire. That is true. I still give Seattle like he played. He developed a lot with the Sounders.
Here's the Henry reinforcing our take on Pooch. Has been really reinforcing making off the ball runs from center to the wings, which requires a CB that can find those long diagonal passes. I think Reagan might specialize in that, and that's true. Like that dude is a laser beam with his ball, with his passing.
That's like one of his best attributes. So
I have
if that matches with Polk's tactics, I think that he should judge it objectively. I don't think Polk's gonna look at it and be like, he plays for the Seattle Sounders, so he sucks. Like I think if Jackson Reagan goes to that camp and shows out, he should get a chance.
This one is, how much do the Sounders eventually get from Obed, and how much can be reinvested into the roster? I think that's a big question, because I think it was a good thing that they're keeping him for as long as possible. Because how do you replace someone like that, man?
Yeah, I mean, you use the money you get from the sale to hopefully get someone proven in that spot. But that goes to the second part of the question, which is how much can be reinvested into the roster. There is some like way that works that I don't know or understand. And I know like the Whitecaps, for instance, they took heat when they sold Alphonso Davies because it was like they weren't using all of the money to like make the roster better. So I can't answer the second part of that question, but as for what we think that we'll get from him, I mean, let's put our guesses out there. I mean, I've been saying 10 million or hang up the phone.
Yep.
Kind of as a bit, but like, I mean, close to 10. You got to charge close to 10.
I'll pick the lower. I'll go 8.
Yeah.
I think 8.
I think that's about where I
think 8 to 10 is probably like a hit. And that's pretty damn good. And then
if you got 10 for him, that'd be.
You take lower for a sell on. Because like I don't know if he's going to go to Europe immediately. I think he might go to Liga MX.
Yes.
And then go to Europe, and you just hope that he gets sold on for like crazy bag and then recoup some of that. But regardless, man, like it's fun to watch.
If they got 7 or 8 for him, like that would be a good bag.
Yeah. DeBradillo and Georgie get more minutes next season, assuming everyone stays healthy. I feel like they get less.
Yeah,
maybe Georgie gets more. But.
Well, like if Ferreira comes to the team, I think that probably makes Georgie's path to regular minutes a little cloudier. Bradilio is the one, man. I've been saying for the last year or so that I'm just really interested in his backstory. I don't know if I've talked about this on the show.
Talk about it. Cook it up.
I'm really interested in his backstory. He went to a Division II school called Franklin Pierce, I believe, and their coach was this former New England Revs scout who just used all his connections from that to build this like Division II super team.
That's fire.
And Bradilio was the best player. They went like 25-0-0, won the Natty, and he had like 22 goals, like 38 assists or something stupid like that. If you look up Bradilio's Division II highlights, it's so funny. Like he is just far and away like he's like a borderline MLS quality player playing against Division II soccer players.
That's brutal.
So it was kind of unfair, but pretty entertaining to watch. But I just found myself wondering, like, why is this random Division II coach just building this like nuclear power squad? Like, and now he moved on to a D1 job, but that's Bradilio's backstory. And I was looking at his career and like his college career and being like, he's very like entertaining and fun to watch. I wonder if he could be an MLS player. And then this year he did his hamstring and didn't play all year.
Classic.
So,
sounder.
Yeah, he's even more of a sounder now.
Yeah.
After that. But anyway, he's the one that I want to see more of next year.
Yeah, I'm stoked with that. Well, maybe we wrap it up, but we have to do it.
Oh yeah, we do have to do it.
We have to do it. Can't relinquish on your
yeah. Okay. So all right, the deal here was that if we got 5 super chats on this stream, we would each publicly advocate for Rusnák returning as a TAM player. So I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the
State your name and turn to the camera, front side, center side.
Thank you for the super chats, by the way. We wouldn't be doing this right now if we hadn't hit our goal of 5. So appreciate you all. I think this actually works out because I was already sort of talking my way through this exact argument when we were talking to Nico. But Rusnák is a TAM player. I mean, like I said to Nico, great statistical output this year. Really, he carried the team in a lot of ways through that to that period of the season when him and Jordan were going off. But set piece merchant, 3 goals against Sean Sawatsky, 51 goals as a team this season. TAM production. That ain't production. A DP. TAM or walk. I basically just repeated what I said earlier, but that's the.
Should I get in focus of the camera for this?
Oh yeah,
this is
sorry,
incredibly
I meant to be
serious.
looking at it. Yeah.
Listen, if you're gonna come into my chat, and try and tell me Albert Rusnák this, Albert Rusnák that, I don't want to hear it. Where was he on a cold, rainy, windy day in Los Angeles at the end of the season? Where was he? That's right. They lost because Albert Rusnák went ghost. They didn't get to the MLS Cup, and that's all on him. And that is why you should be a TAM player.
TAM or walk.
TAM or walk.
Lobbing Scorchers, the TAM or walk stream.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think we can call it about. Oh, okay. Wait. No. We gotta do Campana real quick.
Okay.
This was a big trade.
That's true.
This was a big trade. Well, okay. And Noah, specifically, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Put me on the spot.
Well, because you specifically have been complaining that Seattle wasn't making a deal for this player.
Yep.
And now another team made a deal for this player. The player in question, Leonardo Campana, Ecuadorian international striker for Inter Miami. The New England Revolution acquired him for a league record fee of GAM. This was a historic trade.
Fleeced.
They gave up $2 million of GAM and up to $3.5 million with incentives for Leo Campana. So they broke the bank, as they say. And I was going to ask you how you feel about this, Noah, because I know you wanted Leo Campana on the Sounders. You go way back on that. You've been saying that since the Barca Boys thing started, and we figured that he was probably going to be available. You said Seattle should swoop. They didn't. So the question is, should Seattle have done this, and do you still want Leo Campana on the Sounders for the price of up to $3.5 million in GAM. Would you have done that deal if Seattle? Would you have bid that or outbid them?
Here's what I'll say about this whole thing. If you are going to be a club with what, I don't know, how do I even say this? Like, if you're going to be if you're not going to have ambition, if your ambition is to sign players inside of MLS, that is the type of player I want you balling and spending out for. I don't give a shit. Like, I do actually really love the Jesus Ferreira trade. Paul Arriola, whatever. I don't really give a shit about that. But that right there, oh my God, Leo Campana to the Sounders for like a stupid amount of money. Fake money, have you? I don't give a shit. Fuck yeah, sign him, dude. Like he is electric. He's the perfect type of player that would have fit on this team. He's a goal scoring machine. He's got enough feeling to him where like he doesn't feel like a player who's just like an MLS player. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't feel like an MLS lifer. He feels like, I feel like fans of like the fans of the mindset where they're like, you have to go out and sign a big name transfer from outside of MLS. They would be happy. Shit, you're making me happy, which is really all that matters at the end of the day. And like, people will say, I see it, it's inflated because of the Messi effect. I think that the deal, they fleeced them for sure. I mean, that's a ridiculous transfer fee. But regardless, like, I do think he's that good. I really do think he's that good.
I don't know if he's that good, but I understand from New England's perspective, you just had an awful tire fire of a season.
Yeah.
Your number 9 for that season was an Italian guy who didn't seem to care that much about scoring goals. So you needed to do something. You had to get a player at this position. Leo Campana was available. He's got a good track record in the league. And like you mentioned, he, in the era of if there was no Messi in the Barca boys with Inter Miami, he's like the profile of player I think that you want to be signing and spending some cash on to get into the league for sure. I think if I'm getting to the question though of if I would have wanted Seattle to drop that big a bag on this player, I don't think this roster like needs that. Like,
why not?
because it's still hedging a ton of money more on upside than a proven commodity. You could debate that he's proven in MLS, but realistically, like, he hasn't played all that many minutes to where like we know he is a like Benteke productive caliber striker if you lead him up top. You are hoping for that. You are hedging on that, but you don't really know that. That's a lot to 3.5 mil potentially of GAM. I guess, 2 mil up front. It's a lot to hedge on.
But it's not real money.
Unproven commodity.
Like,
it is fake money. That is important.
But what I'm saying is, like, if your method is like, we are going to moneyball this, why not just use your fake money to splash on someone? Yes, every signing is a risk, though. Every signing at a striker position or a 10 position or a 9 or a 1 or a 2 or a 3, any signing is a risk. Anything can happen. Why would you not want to go and do that? Like, that would be a banger deal. He's going to be a DP. So like, I also understand that the Sounders allegedly, potentially, hypothetically, as we noted on this earlier, may not even have a DP spot, but why not? Why not have that as leverage for whatever negotiation you're going to have? Like, I love the move, especially for the Revs. Like, I don't really think the money matters for them when their season was just so bad last year.
Yeah, no, I get why they did it.
And I really don't think it would have been a bad deal for the Sounders either, but I
wonder what the reaction would have been if Seattle actually went out and got Campana.
Dude, I would have
spent that. Yeah, I mean, I know you would have, but like,
but that would have shown that they want to spend in a way that's meaningful and maybe even a little bit.
But I know what you're saying. Like, every signing is a risk, but like, a player of the profile of a Ladero or Rui Diaz is less of a risk than a player of the profile of Campana, or in a more extreme example, De La Vega, because like you have more pedigree and like sort of history to fall back on when you're making your evaluation. I mean, someone in chat pointed out Leo Campana's, I think he's got 3 straight seasons of double-digit goals. So like, it's definitely not a De La Vega type situation where you're hedging that much.
He's also not young. He's not that young.
Campana's only 24, man.
But I'm saying like he's not like this. I'm saying he's not young in the league, I guess is what I should have said. Like he understands. He's been around. Okay, I don't know. We got Wi-Fi. We got Wi-Fi. But I'm just saying, man. Like I really don't think that he is a bad investment.
28 career MLS goals in 52 games started. Yeah.
28 goals, man.
No, he's honestly been even better than I remembered.
Vindicated.
I still don't know.
Sign him.
I guess, if I'm making my own argument, if I took the name Leo Campana off it and saw 28 games and 28 goals and 52 starts, would I pay $2 million in GAM for
yes.
that? Maybe.
I think he's going to work out there. I think he's going to work out, and I think that it's just silly because it's like what is the difference between that and then like the deal that they're doing with like Areola? Like let's say they send a bunch of GAM TAM over. Let's say they send $1 million in whatever GAM, right? Okay, you spend another $1 million up to another $1 million after that. What's the difference?
It's fake money.
It's not real money. He is way more proven in the last 3 seasons, sitting behind a shitload of players. He's coming off the bench for a lot of that. I think it's a great signing. I'm a Leo I will defend.
Yeah, no, you're like the number one like purveyor of this agenda.
Yeah.
So
my number
when I saw that trade hit the inbox, I was like, oh boy. But it did give us some content to talk about. So
we have to settle for Harry Kane. Someone did bring up, I guess we should, hold on, let me ask this question, unless you are ready to be done here.
No, guys, so let's do one more.
Can you explain to me what it means to have discovery rights for Griezmann? Are we going to try and pull him in?
Does Seattle have his discovery rights?
You can look that up probably. I don't know.
I mean, I barely understand the concept of discovery rights.
Well, just describe it bare bones.
It's like
first right of refusal, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you have the first, but the thing is, it's like who discovered Antoine Griezmann?
Me.
Like what are we talking about?
I did.
Like, oh yeah, our scouts really went out there and they hit the books real hard. They had to do a lot of pulling strings and talking to the right people, but they've scouted up Antoine Griezmann.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But so what I would say, Kyle, is that I don't know if that gives them like any meaningful advantage in terms of potentially landing him over. Like if he wanted to go to LAFC,
they would just buy the rights.
Yeah, you buy the rights in Seattle.
That was the best. Was Sporting Kansas City bought Ronaldo? Do you remember when like Sporting Kansas City bought Ronaldo's discovery rights? And everyone was like, "Oh shit, we're gonna sign Ronaldo."
They actually imagined that got closer to happening than people realized. It wasn't it wasn't that close, funny. But
could you imagine?
They were talking about that.
Could you imagine him there? How funny that would have been.
I mean, oh man, with the wrestling enthusiasts,
dude,
with
that would
Ronaldo,
have been just so funny.
Yeah,
he would have been terrible.
We had Suarez's discovery rights. Yeah, Seattle discovered Luis Suarez.
Yeah, we did.
There was smoke to that because him and Nico are like best friends. Really good friends.
Yeah.
So Nico, I think Nico tried to do that.
Nico definitely pitched it.
He pitched it. He tried to make that happen, but
they had an Instagram photo together.
I guess Messi turned out to have more sway. Yeah, no, they're like they kick it. They played on the national team together for.
He posted like an Instagram photo with him.
Also owned Almiron's. Like, man, why you gotta go through all the ones that
do away with the discovery rights though, or something?
I honestly don't know.
I'm on a Tom Bogert question.
Yeah, I'm like really not a great person to ask about these roster rules. I got a D+ in math, so
who has the rights for Mo Salah? Dude, I've been saying a Mo Salah signing would be fucking sick.
If the Sounders do that, then all is forgiven.
All is forgiven forever. I don't care. Even if he's washed, I wouldn't care. That would just be sick. I'm not even a Liverpool fan.
If he came here and Jay Rooted, like. Everyone would still be hyped.
We would clown him.
Yeah.
But Nuhu, I don't think he would come here because he's still fearful of Nuhu.
That's a good point. Okay, I think that is a perfect place to wrap it up. We're closing in on 2 hours here. Still got 58 people watching.
Yeah.
Once again, summited triple digits at the peak of it. Thank you all so much for tuning in for another banger live show. It was a lot of fun. We're going to keep doing these, so definitely stay tuned throughout the off season. Sub to the YouTube and turn notifications on. We'll know when we go live. We'll also announce it on our. I'm Blue Skying instead of Twitter now. I'm on that train, so follow me on Blue Sky. Like, comment, subscribe, follow our Instagrams and TikToks, please, and become a YouTube member and subscribe to sounderatheart.com/ls. I think that was everything.
Yeah, bye Jake, bye Kyle. Hope you have a great day.
Appreciate you guys.
Subscribe to Sounder at Heart.
Subscribe to
Follow
Sounder at
the
Heart.
new pod out. If you haven't listened to the new pod,
Oh yeah, listen to the new pod that started off all the comment section's kind of lit. All right, we are gonna end it right on that. We'll see you guys next time. We out.
Peace.